Hi, this is Dr. Jordan from Pinnacle Chiropractic, your pediatric and prenatal chiropractic office in the Sarasota-Bradenton area. And today's video is for those parents who either suspect or know that their child is kind of falling behind in some of those major motor milestones that we talk about so often in our community and just in the world of healthcare. And so as a parent, it's really hard to see your kid struggling, and it's really hard to not compare your child to either a kid at the playground or another sibling or even a twin if they have one. And so it makes it hard because at a certain point your child should be hitting these milestones, but every child is different. So what is normal? When is your child falling behind? What do you do about it? Where do you turn to? And how do you just stop all of the worrying and, do the best plan for your child? So this video is for anybody who has a child that is delayed a little bit or thinks they are, and you might be struggling to just know what's next. So in this video, we're going to talk a lot about what even causes these delays and what going forward, having this more knowledge is going to help provide you with more answers. And so one thing we see in our office a lot is that parents will come in and they bring their child, and they say, in my gut, I know that Betty has a speech delay, like she's behind. Dad doesn't agree. Dad thinks that she just isn't talking because her brother talks for her, or she was a COVID baby. She wasn't around a lot of people. And so there's definitely a lot of reasons and things that can cause our children to be delayed or behind or not equal as a sibling. But there are usually bigger reasons than that. So the delays themselves are usually a lag in those milestones. In our office, we talk so much about how goal for year one of life is walking and goal for year two is talking. And so when your goal for year one of life is walking, that really takes a lot more effort than just, 12 months goes by and their body is ready. That is where we talk so much about their body not having any tension in it, that the baby being able to do tummy time for a decent amount of time so they can develop those curvatures in their neck and their low back that have to go the opposite direction of the one curve they have at birth. So there's a lot of work, a lot of play, a lot of structural changes that have to happen before a baby can walk. We also talk a lot about how crawling is a major motor milestone, and it is not something that is not a big deal if your child doesn't do. Children should crawl both knees, both hands, symmetrically, not one foot, not one knee, not the bum scooting. It really should be two hands, two knees while they're crawling, and that we like to see that for 4 months. So we want a child to be crawling for 4 months before they even begin walking. And sometimes what we see in our office, almost too much, I would say, of course, is that children hit those milestones at different times. So sometimes kids won't even learn to crawl until they're already learned to pull up. And so the way that the brain works, the way the brain grows, we start with that cerebellum, we start with the basic coordination in that brain stem, and we have to develop our brain and learn and connect the hemispheres through synapses, through all of our learning and our emotions and behaviors, but all of that comes from that back primitive brainstem forward. And so when we learn skills like standing before we learn to crawl, or we learn skills like jumping by even putting a jumper or even an exerciser before we learn to crawl and walk, that really affects how our brain is developing. And so part of the reason I think we're seeing so many concerns with walking, and then next usually is the speech delays, is because we are not equipped with the answers of what to do in that first year of life. That our children really should be held as much as possible, carried in a baby carrier with their knees above their hips. Their knees should not be hanging down. All of those little things make a difference in how their body and brain are developing. So children really do need to focus on crawling. It is something that we say a lot. A lot of other pediatric OT-PTs would agree, but I know that the CDC has kind of changed the guidelines on that. But from a structural, developmental brain standpoint, children do need to be crawling. And so what we see is that maybe one sibling has done things a little bit differently, and then the second sibling, they might crawl for no time at all and begin walking at 9-10 months. I've seen pictures of babies standing at 4 months and moms saying how cool it is. There's just all of these different nuances that can happen when we are not getting their body to have the proper motion and the proper brain development through using those skills and using all of their reflexes before they even get to the walking stage. And so once we have one skill that is delayed, like walking, it's very common to see something like talking then for year 2 become delayed, because we have to hit these things, or we should hit these things in order before the next thing progresses. And so we really strive that we are not a stickler about a child walking at 12 months. That is not a huge deal. If they walk at 13, great. If they walk at 11, great. But did they crawl first? Did they crawl and then pull to stand and then start walking and then learn to jump at an appropriate time? All of those little key things do play a role in how their brain is developing. If they hit those milestones out of order, it is very, very common to see them have delayed walking and delayed talking, but also tone issues, coordination issues, that really the root cause from all of those can be because of some of the things I'm talking about. Can be from babies spending a lot of time on their back, a lot of time in a swing, a lot of time in an exercise saucer, a car seat. Car seats should be left in the car, even though infant car seats are made to be picked up and moved. Baby might be sleeping. If you can hold your baby wear in the grocery store, do that. Baby should be in a car seat for about 2 hours a day. So if you think that you drive to the grocery store, get out in the grocery store, put that cart, the baby carrier into the cart, go through the grocery store, then come back out, take that carrier out of the cart into the car, drive back home. Baby's asleep, so then you unpack all the groceries while they sleep in the car seat. They're hitting those total allowances for time in a container very, very quickly, and they can develop a plethora of issues from that, but this is something that we see all of the time that can lead to delays later on. So while that could be the root cause, the other root cause could be something that is not talked about by a lot of doctors, but something that our office talks about every conversation, and that is birth trauma and birth intervention. So what we have found is that the more a birth includes things like forceps, vacuum, induction, C-section, any kind of stress where their mom was stressed out, it was actually physical stress on mom, there was trauma, things didn't go as planned. All of those things basically cause stress to mom, which does pass on to baby, but also the unnecessary or necessary interventions can cause issues with things like the cerebellum, the brainstem, and the upper neck. And those are locations where all of their nerve and motor function are basically located. So, if you hold a baby, the first thing you want to do is hold that head and neck and really protect them, because it's such a weak area. They don't have any strength. But that is where all of the trauma happens when a baby has a stressful or traumatic birth. I think it's like 1 in 6 moms would report that their birth was traumatic, and it's much more common that we hear stories from moms who think their birth was normal, but compared to other women and what it can be, it's still a traumatic birth and has a lot of consequences for mom recovery and baby as well. So finding if a subluxation or this area of tension, area of misalignment, area of stress in the upper neck and brainstem area, if there's dysfunction there, that is really the number one missing piece of why we are having so many kids seeing delays. And so if they come out and are born into this world with that going on in that upper neck and that dysfunction there from day one, all of those things that should happen in a normal pattern, all of those things that should make a baby calm and easy and fun and not have colic, not have reflux, not have spit up, not need to sleep in a reclined position, not need to do XYZ, then that kind of starts that cascade. And really with that cascade, we call it the perfect storm. But what we see often in our office is that the more stress there is, whether it's preconception, during pregnancy, birth, the more that starts kind of spiraling for these kids, starting with mom and then the birth, the more that we see symptom-wise kids having within those first few years of life, where they might have colic and then they outgrow that colic, but it really just turns into something like ear infections and allergies. And they outgrow that, but that kind of turns in now to maybe some behavioral issues or sensory aversions. And now our kids are quite a bit older and we kind of feel lost and don't really know where everything went wrong. But it's really the perfect storm of all of these things happening and the culmination of those things that really is causing these issues. And so if you suspect that your child might be having a delay, the best thing to do is just to find out from a chiropractic standpoint, do they have that tension, subluxation, dysfunction in their upper brainstem area that's controlling all of their nerves below that. So chiropractic is not about back pain. It really is about brain function, what the brain is telling the body. Can the body understand that and relay messages back? And so if they are having struggles or dysfunction in that upper neck area from a type of birth trauma or intervention, that can make a huge difference in how their brain is able to process information, communicate the information, and then do things like coordinate walking and then being able to begin talking and understand language and have that receptive language where they're receptive and expressive language that our kids should be having by 2. So there is an article posted as well to learn more about these developmental delays. But if you have any questions, please comment below, send us a DM. If you need help finding a chiropractor near you, we are always happy to help and assist with that. And if you are ready to kind of get your child the help they need, we are here for you. So hope you have a great day. Hope you learned something from this video and talk to you soon.